What's up? What's up? What's up, everybody? Let me know if you can hear me out there. Thanks for hanging out in the Hive Mind today. We've got a lot of fun folks from all over the place. Lots of people, guests on the Yours Truly podcast. See Bryce out there, Zach, Grim, Jake, Lance, some friends in the corner, Matthew Parlato, CW Weeks, people from across the pond. Thanks for hanging out. Loud and clear. Thank you. Great, great, great. So to get started, what's up, Chad? I've got my fancy Rode microphone here with me, and I want to give a shout out to one of my supporters, channel supporters. I don't know if they want to be mentioned. That we'll have to find out. Maybe they can let me know in the if it's okay in the Hive Mind if they make it on here today. But yeah, a supporter help in the purchase of man on the street microphones. So we'll see how things go at ARC, but I will, I've got my second one here to give to any, people that might be interested in talking for a few minutes to you guys. So yeah, so shout out to channel supporters, channel members, helping give that positive feedback in the loop of meaning. Is this meaningful to people? Is this meaningful? Is this worthy in a certain way? So thank you related to all that. Audio is pretty dang good. Cool. Yeah, we'll see how these work. Pocket mic giveaway. Yeah, so this was these are, and I use branding, what is that? Product placement. I use the Rodecaster Pro 2 for our regular podcast. And so I decided to go with Rode to kind of keep it in the family. As you can see, I'm not in my studio today because I'm at my sister's house in Nashville, flying out of Nashville today to go start my journey to ARC. Really excited, but yeah, the flight leaves at 6:30 tonight, and we will, I'll get to London at like 8 in the morning. So it's like a 9-hour trip. Let's see. So yeah, I'm wanting to do a Q&A today, but before I do that, I wanted to just do a little short, brief news and TLC because we had something cool happen. I don't know if that's appropriate or not, but let's see. I'm going to add some stuff to the screen. We'll see if this makes sense. That's not it. That is another post, though, that I'm interested in. Yeah, let's see. Try it again. I'm just going to find it from my Twitter profile. So the first thing I wanted to kind of do it was Kale Zeldin, big player, serious player in the TLC. This morning I woke up to, well, where is it? I woke up to the news that he had an article that was published on Unheard. Find it here. Let's just see here. Yeah, here it is. With their sororities and their laid back Southern charm, Dixie's universities are attracting students from across America. Kale Zeldin, why college freshmen are heading to the South, from Unheard. And so pretty awesome for Kale. And he's starting to do these 10 good minute videos he's been pumping out all week, a week or two. And yesterday he did one on why am I doing this? And he talked, and I want to point everyone to go over there and check that out. Is inspiring, encouraging, related to his work with classic literature, his work as an educator and a teacher. What is this? Kale was beefing with Mike Cosper from Christianity Today on X as well. Yeah, Mike Cosper, for those who don't know, he was the producer for Rise and Fall of Mars Hill, works for Christianity Today. I did some job coaching from him. I got some job coaching from him back in my ministry days as a worship pastor. He used to be a worship pastor at a big church in Kentucky. So what is this I see about Chad? I'm thinking today is the day I become a dad for the first time. Congratulations, Chad. I'm guessing there's some contractions taking place or something. So that's the thing. Roses for Kale. And anyways, moving on. So the other piece of this ARC adventure is the Christ and Culture conference that Paul Vanderklay and man, did I not even add this to the stage? Maybe I didn't. Here's Kale's article. Let me go back. I don't have my usual setup today. I'm on one screen on the podcast, but this is Kale's article on Unheard. You can go if you're on my Twitter, or you're probably all following Kale, but or you can just Google it. Why college freshmen are heading to the South. And this was related to his viral post he did about Southern football and colleges that went viral. I guess, who knows if Roger or Unheard just reached out to him or connected them or however it worked. I'm really proud of Kale, excited for him. Support that so much. It was good. I read it. And let's see. Christ and Culture. So I'm going to add the Christ and Culture screen here. This is the other conference I'm going to be attending this weekend on Sunday or Saturday, tomorrow. I'm flying into London and then hopping a flight to Shannon, Ireland, and then I'll take a shuttle from there, an hour drive down to Galway. And Paul is speaking at this conference. It says Christ and Culture. And it says Martin Shaw, the storyteller, Paul Vanderklay, the pastor, Paul Kingsnorth, the writer, Grace Connolly, the Umoxie, I don't even know what that means, Marcus Connolly from the channel More Christ, friend of the corner, the host, Father Connor McDonough, the historian, and then Marie Agus, I guess these are Irish names, the singers. So I know that they posted that we're going to be singing a hymn together. But yeah, I'm really excited about going to that. I'm assuming it's going to be kind of low key. And one of the high features that is really exciting is that the late night activity is Martin Shaw is going to be telling stories around a campfire and doing his Sharnackie Irish storyteller stuff. And so super excited about that. And of course, ARC. So if you're a channel on Paul Vanderklay's membership channel member, he did a YTLC is good for jet lag. And he talked about how he's up at 3 a.m, but he sees like people were streaming like Jacob or Luke, and he can like hop onto that in the middle of jet lag in the morning. And he talked about how last year he didn't bring like a formal wear, and he was like, ARC is, he was kind of shocked because he's like, he does, he said things at Living Stone are real chillaxed. That was what Paul said. And yet, in preparation for ARC, I myself, this is kind of in the elite circles or not. Let's see. I don't know. Seabax is living it. How you feel, brother? I feel good. I'm excited. I'm nervous. I'm insecure. I'm choosing to believe in myself all at the same time. Yeah, status rocket for Kale. Go, Kale, go. Much more stoic than the California vibe. So it's British, it's in Britain, and Kale Zeldin lives the British aesthetic and belongs in those halls more naturally than I'm going to be. I've got my backwards hat, which Kale's big viral post about backwards hats. I represent that meme a little bit. I've got my millennial flannel on and old school V-neck and some skinny jeans that I'm still holding on to. And that's just so I'm comfortable on my flight. That's like comfortable. I was like, what will I be most comfortable on this trip? It's just do your thing. And then when when I get there, I actually did like one of those outfit matching online stores called Stitch Fix to get a few uppity, nice things to wear, because I haven't shopped for that kind of stuff in like probably 3 or 4 years, and I'm like several pounds heavier, and so kale is so arc. Yes, no denim allowed. Yeah, I might do some black denim. I might sneak it in there. So yeah, how does it feel? I think I answered that. Chad, are you saying like y'all might go to the hospital today? Is that what you're saying? I'm curious. Here's the question. What happens when the backwards hat blue collar dude swims in the theological philosophical waters for 7 years? Yes, you got it. That's part of the story. If there's a man bun, we riot. Yeah, no, I haven't. I tried to do like a half man bun, like, I don't know, 8 years ago. Like kept the long and then did the, but yeah, I haven't messed around with that stuff in a long time. Have you ever been on this long of a flight? No, I have not. Yeah, I guess we can move. I just wanted to say, before moving to questions, ARC, dressing up. I'm excited to meet the heavy hitters there. I actually am interested in the cultural story and the cultural part of what Peterson's trying to do. I'm kind of a believer, a sincere believer. That's why sometimes when people, there's all sorts of people in the corner that have their own perspectives on whether this is good or bad or the best way to do things or not. But it's like, I just kind of, yeah, it's been the water I've swam in and the stuff that makes the most sense and out of the meaning that I've experienced for the last over half a decade. All right, so let's move into some questions. I'm going to go back up to the top of the comments because someone, Logos, left a question like a few days ago when I put this out. And so that was like really cool to have somebody like prep a question because they weren't going to be able to make the live stream. He says, I have an appointment when the live stream is out, but I have one question I'm curious about. Yarvin talks about the need to build competing power structures which replace and incorporate the old structures. Given many of the guests, I'd be curious to see if a vibe shift where people feel that a new power structure is forming and vibe shift is the feel in a room full of people at that high level. Yeah. My buddy, Matthew Parlato, who was our first comment today, he introduced me to the Curtis Yarvin's work. And I'm not, I'm so pop in this corner of the internet. Everything is surface level for me. So, my understanding of Yarvin is very surface level, but there's like, this is a great question about, and kind of like the Hegelian, I don't remember who said that. Someone in the comments mentioned Hegelian. Oh, it was Grimm, someone. Isn't the whole arc antithesis WEF in the Hegelian dialectic to get us to eat bugs? So I do think arc is trying to be a dialectic with the current institutions and power structures, but with creating a positive vision versus, or a positive narrative versus a despairing narrative of the world. There's not enough resources. There's not enough all this stuff. Stop having kids because the world's falling, global warming, all these things. And ARC is trying to take that. And maybe it is like the Hegelian dialectic in the sense where there was the pre-WEF kind of MAGA thing. And like WEF is like a antithesis to MAGA. And maybe something like ARC is kind of a synthesis. I don't know. We'll see. That's just my thoughts. He's interested to know what the vibe shift is like. Yeah, I wasn't at the last ARC, so, but I can imagine like when I watched Jonathan Bijot's speech, and he asked directly how many people in there were like atheists, and I think it was a smaller percentage of the audience, and I don't think there's as many. Like, it was invite only, hyper exclusive last time. 1,500 people, invite only. Big time podcasters were there. I don't think there's going to be quite the clout in that world, like the podcaster world of YouTube, but I still think there is a lot of still people involved in government, energy sector, people in the religious sector. I won't be able to compare it to last time, but I'll say this. When I was at Symbolic World and I talked to Ruslan, who was invited to come to Symbolic World, it did signal something to me about a shift. Like, what is like a big Eva guy interested in Jordan Peterson? What is that signaling? And I think we're seeing that now happen a lot. And this is part of that. And what does the character of Jordan Peterson's interface with Big Eva mean? And we've seen that this year big time with his conversations with people from The Chosen, the guy from Calvary Chapel that the Big Eva movie was about with Kelsey Grammer last year. So I think, I mean, that's the interest. And I'm kind of like, the reason that stuff all sparks to me is because I'm like a product of evangelicals, like 100% through and through. And so interfacing with that is interesting. All right. Other questions. I kind of was able to get, Chad, go ahead and pump this in. Chad's anticipating today is a big day. Let's see. I'm looking for questions here. Have I listened? Yes. Oh, CB's an elite now. 100%. Can't you tell? Have I listened to Oldfield's new Sacred podcast with James Orr? I have not. Let's see. Live. Invite some of those elites to Chicago. Good idea, Chad. I actually need the branding. I guess it probably is on Discord. I was needing to do that. We'll do some. And let's see. Yeah, put your questions in here. All right. Here's one from Matt. Does PBK and you stand out a bit at ARC for the radically transformative style of YouTube use we TLC has cultivated? Example, when many of people at ARC talk YouTube, will it be odd to relate? Man, these are probably better questions for Paul, but let me see if I understand this good enough. Ruslan, I'm going to go ahead and comment on this. Roll your eyes, Luke. He was at Symbolic. Me and Luke have had this online, offline conversation about this, but I told Luke the more interesting thing isn't the clickbait stuff that he's doing. It's just literal, or actually the interface between Big Eva and the Peterson phenomenon, because it's 7 years late, but it's also interesting. What is that Hegelian synthesis going to be like? So back to this question. Stand out. Maybe so on another live stream, I'm on the ARC app, and I've connected with people that I've had, like Jordan Hall is going to be there. Benjamin Boyce is going to be there. All the Symbolic World people are going to be there. And when Paul talked about ARC last time, he said he kind of snuck away with some of the Symbolic World. That was kind of more his tribe, and the more like elite power folks were kind of their own thing. But Neil deGrade's actually from Dirt Pro Robbins, who was a breakout session at Symbolic World and obviously close friend of Jonathan Pageau, is listed as a speaker for ARC. So I think there's also stuff going in there. And I would say TLC, the thing that I'm most interested in is low friction between hierarchy. And this is a big part of TLC that I see is like what's happening with Kale right now. And Kale's going to be a speaker at Midwest Estuary with Pageau and Vervaeke and Paul and Oldfield. Like that TLC is birthing the moves up the hierarchy through interesting things. And even like Jordan Hall and his connection and what he's done with hierarchy. I think this is all, and it's interesting because the explicit nature that Peterson and Pageau have talked about these things. Within the digital, with what we're doing now, those levels are less like walled, you know. So I think it's interesting. Peterson will have arrived when he drops on Luke's live stream. Yeah, I think, you know, I honestly kind of had that thought the other day, like that hasn't been explored, and that's what I'm exploring, and that's why I'm going to ARC in this like elite thing. Which, I mean, I was telling this story to my sister the other night. So I'm in Nashville. Nashville's I have cousins, I have family that are in national government. I have people that have worked in Hollywood, like aunts and uncles. I have people that were in my band that are in like big time music acts and different things. Like my relationship to elite has always, you know, but I've always had the chip on my shoulder of being from a small town in Arkansas, and but I've kind of interfaced with it throughout my life in different ways. Like when I came here, it's been spring break in Franklin with my cousin who was like BMOC on Franklin High's campus, which is like where Miley Cyrus went to high school. And, you know, and we would go to like hang out with his friends at these $1 million mansions and stuff. And I was so intimidated, and I could just kind of like feel those social realities. And yeah, I'm just kind of playing with and experimenting with those things, even in this process and within the TLC. So yeah, so Greg Laurie was the Jesus Revolution movie guy. So even in this, like my pastor grew up going, the guy that I'm in, my pastor at our church now, who I used to work on staff with 8 years ago, he grew up going to Greg Laurie's church. Yeah. What's up, Rigel? All right. What is exactly will you be doing? I pictured you doing interviews and streams from ARC. Is that right? Well, I'm going to try. I haven't like really even. Okay, so I'll say this. Neil deGrade, who I've had on the podcast, who the kind of the musical, him and his wife Kate do Dirt Poor Robins. They were the musical guests for Symbolic World last year. He spoke at a breakout session. I already mentioned him earlier. He's apparently speaking at ARC. He encouraged me to video. He reached out to me in the ARC app, and that was huge because I'm pretty, I don't know, insecure, nervous, fighting to believe in myself, I guess you could say. And that like meant a lot. And so another guy who's been like a super supporter of the channel, he helped me pay for these microphones. And like I showed it earlier, but I've got the one I can give like a person on the street, or you put in their face, or they could clip on too. And so I am going to attempt to see, like I've been working out technically how to use my phone on StreamYard with the audio, with the camera. I also am going to try to do some documentary work for my, like to release later. Like this is my nice camera that I'm using right now. And like some of the Christ and Culture stuff with Martin Shaw around the campfire and Ireland, documenting some of that. Some of it's personal. I have a story about this. So it's the Christ and Culture conference on Saturday is going to be in Galway, Ireland. My parents were just in Galway 8 months ago. We found out 2 years ago, my dad, who is he was an orphan from South Korea, half white, half Korean, adopted to Arkansas back in the early 60s. He never knew what his other ethnicity was. He did 23andMe a few years ago and found out that he was basically half Irish, and that through that, some of the family lineage is traced to Galway. So there's also this other part of me like that is from there. And I didn't know that was, I didn't plan that, but so some of the documentary of being there, and yeah, I want to, hopefully get some some sit down with Paul, related and having conversations about the corner and about ARC and all this stuff. And but really a lot of it is like playing it by ear. I don't have, like I said, I haven't like just talked to people, tried to set up, hey, can you meet me at this time so that we can because I don't even know what that's going to feel like or how that's going to work out. But I just am trying to have the gear to be able to act on that if needed. So that's what I've been working on. Hope that answers your question, Bryce. Let's see. Question. Will you spread the good news of TLC at ARC? That's like making the commitment to take TLC with me, represent that. Like I go back to at Symbolic World, I had only been playing in TLC for like a month and a half. And Paul sent me a DM and said, hey, you want to do like a news report live stream, on his Symbolic World FOMO live stream last year. And I recognized Nate Heil when he was in line. I, connected with Grim Grizz, and I felt like I had a tribe. I felt like I was connected. And I met Matt C while I was there. Met Justin Wells after had a conversation with him. So that's how I still feel like, and I can't be anything else. Like if I'm going to be yours truly, like I have to be honest and true to that. So I don't know exactly how it's going to look. Am I going to talk about TLC? I will probably, I don't know if I'll use that word, or maybe I will. I don't know. Paul's kind of the major reference point for that. So we'll see. But yeah, I don't know who you're responding to, but yeah, chair of ARC. I know Peugeot is on the ARC board. Whatever happened to Abbey Revival? I think that's what it's called. I don't know what that is, but I do know that Christ and Culture is like going to be at something like an Abbey. Nice literal actual catch. Let's see. Any other questions? All right. What's up, Peter? We all rub shoulders with elites and shared rooms with elites. It's a strange thing. I've thought about this a lot. Yeah. I mean, that's that relationship, like, and Chad, I think, with your work and like people, even like what you're building on YouTube, and even with the conference and all these things, like these are the interesting questions of our time. I think that are some of the most fascinating questions about the Peterson thing goes out 7, 8, 9 years ago. It's low guy go out, like implanted word, does things in people regardless of class and status related to the algorithm. And then conversations happen and they come up like this thing is what's emanating is fascinating to me. Nashville is Los Angeles with more Stetsons and less oceans. Very much less oceans. I've shared beds with elites. People like Jordan dropping into a live stream is like a major Democrat politician going into Joe Rogan and other populist-esque podcasts. Yeah, it's a fractal. And that's also a part of everything, yeah, that I'm mentioning with this. And that's who was it that told this story? It was Bethel. On my conversation with Bethel, and Paul referenced this comment about a girl who had watched, she got a philosophy degree and she was watching Peterson talk to, who's the old poetry guy, a young guy. I just went blank. He wrote a book. It was Paul's favorite book of last year. He is having a candlelight dinner with Peterson talking about Western civilization. And this girl who got the philosophy degree was in hopes that she could have those conversations, still felt isolated in her world. And she's sitting there behind the windows looking in on this decadent feast of Peterson and gosh, I can't remember the guy's name. And and they're feasting and having this, and she's like, I wish I could be in a conversation. It made her sad more than she was interested at that point. And that is where TLC comes in. And what does it mean? And that's even where Paul, like as he continues to get status and move into other spaces, like, and still is honest, like these things, like the digital revolution is eating the elites. Let's say that, like, it's eating status in a certain way, like, and that is very curious to me. And I'm curious about even, like, I think Kale being on Unheard, being published by Unheard today, like, and how his relationship to people in the corner and like all that stuff, how it's going to work out, like all this stuff is interesting. Phlebas, are you worried about UK censorship laws? Like, dude, I'm an American. Dude, I'm an American, bro. I don't know what to say. Like, I don't know how that works, but let's see if this is still hanging where it's supposed to be. I don't know. I don't feel those tensions in America the same way, probably. See, back to Miley Cyrus. Let's see. Any other questions? Question from Bryce. Is being from small town Arkansas, AR, by the way, not that's Alaska, actually part of the special value of you being there in the moment culturally? Because your gift of good listening and question asking could be the niche. There's probably better listeners and question askers and podcasters that are going to be there. The small town angle, and this is where I intersected with Jordan Hall and Black Mountain last year around this time, is also the fascinating story for me. Like, what are you doing at ARC, Christian Baxter from Little Town, Arkansas? I want to bring gold I want to bring gold home. I want to bring things like, I want my little city, my little town to have the treasures of this. I don't want those. I believe that they can actually go further and deeper in a small town than they can in a city in certain ways. And going to ARC and not feeling like I have to move to an urban area to have the air of elitism, or like, I think that work is like, could like transform a town of 10 or 15, 20,000 in a way more powerfully than a mega city. So I don't know about my specific giftings when it comes to like what I'm doing with this, but what the small town to London, like, what are you? I used to go to conferences, and Bethel and I also talked about a critique with Tim Keller's like kind of I'll just say this crassly, worship of cities, of mega cities. Like, he's in like New York City, and for me being from a small town, like my value was laid bare in that paradigm. And when Jordan Hall started talking about his journey, and it intersected with mine in his ideal being something like, a town of 10,000, I was like, whoa, what is going on here? That there's questions for me about that. I think, Paul has his questions about estuary, his questions about this stuff, and they also intersect because Paul's not mega church, and he's not big Eva in that way. And there's things about that are happening that's part of the value for me as a person. This is helpful. If I need a backup flight, I know some guys from the Inns. I don't know what that means, but thank you, Teo. Me and Teo are on WhatsApp together. Yeah, so Philippe's been watching Lotus Eaters and Dim Man. Yeah. Sargon of Akkad is listed on the, I think he's on the attendees list. Lotus Eaters. Yeah, so Chick Tracks for TLC. Yeah, exactly. Like, on my backdrop in my studio, I've got a Peterson poster, I have Symbolic World, and I'm waiting for space to put TLC branding. So all you people out there want to make something, send it to me. What else have we got? I'm just stalting a little bit about you now, bringing TLC with you. Is there anything else doing what you do? I mean, Paul kind of does it. He's already done a membership video. I saw Bethel. She's interviewing. I can't remember his name. This is where I'm not going to be in the lead because I can't remember people's names very well. But the guy he's like co-founding ARC as well with Peterson. He was prime minister in Australia. He's got this great kind of like Crocodile Dundee gravitas in a suit. And so she's interviewing, I just saw on Twitter today, she's interviewing him, but nothing like this. But yeah, Paul will do some stuff like this. Snarky Puppy. Yeah, they are super cool. Do I plan on going to Greg's? I don't know what that means. Peter. Let's see. Fellowship flattens in the best way. Yes, and there's something about entering the doors of the church related to status and hierarchy that is kind of flattening before the cross. My pastor, one of the great quotes that he quotes from somebody that I always loved is said, "The ground is level at the foot of the cross." There are no ordinary people. You have never talked to a mere mortal. C.S. Lewis. When am I going to hang out with Kyle Cox? I get off work. I only have excuses for you, CW. Spencer Clavin, that's the guy, Chad. Thank you. That's who was talking with Peterson in that decadent dinner. Yes, Spencer Clavin. I'm so behind. Let's see. Bethel wants to talk to big shots. TLC sits at the low spots. So yeah, I had a guy reach out to me on the ARC app who, he's got a podcast. And he said something about kind of being nervous and not knowing what to do with all this stuff. And I don't know who he is, but maybe I bump into him. I don't think he has, I don't know. Bethel talks to the little shots too, Luke. Think about it. Let's see, what else? How far am I up here? Let's see. CW, you're going to get vocal distance on. He seems to really enjoy you. That's let's see. I'll be deported at worst. Yeah, I have no idea what to even think about the censorship stuff. And I don't know. Let's see. That's the Jordan Hall definition of elite. CC Back's first Jordan Hall comment. Yeah. I asked Jordan, like, what does it mean to be elite? What happened to the elites when cities collapse? In his kind of eschatological perspective related to his thesis on Civium. And he said, let's redefine delete. Let's redefine elite right now. And the elites are good neighbors. The elites are faithful friends. The elites are those things. That's how I could, just off the top of my head, place it. So Jordan Hall's, let's see. 100% McMo. Send me the Ko-Fi link on text and I'll make sure it gets to Jordan. Let's see. I'm going to sentence you to listening to Paul Kingsnor's First Things lecture 10 times over and over. Yeah, I think like with Paul Kingsnorth, I don't know, cities. I think cities will still serve a purpose as nodes, but I don't think you have to be in a city to do the elite city things in the same way. No, I don't have an elite clip he talked about in your first combo readily available. I don't have any good branding like built into my. Maybe that's a good idea though, Chad. Like to, yeah, if someone wants to clip that, send it to me in Discord. That would be killer. And I could add it to be used somehow, maybe. Zach, we've grown 3 different estuary groups in my 150 person town in less than a year. Yeah, that's huge. We love playing the Name That Guy with you, Christian. Good. I'm glad it's serving its purpose. Let's see. Yes, CW. Is there any particular element of the program that has been announced that you are most looking forward to? Let me go to the app right now and look. And main stage programming. So there's like a liturgy every day. It goes breakfast, civilizational moment, coffee break, responsible citizen and social fabric, free enterprise and good governance, energy resources, the identity of the digital age. And it does that every day. They just have different cohorts of people that will be speaking within those topics. And so like the civilizational moment related to like even my conversations with Jordan Hall, responsible citizenship, like this is something I take pretty seriously, like in my role in this church that I'm a part of. Like when I think about what does it mean to be a responsible citizen in the town that I'm from. And like, that's why I think all these things are not just elite ideas, or that they should, or the only place they mean or matter are in cities. Like, I think that we can reframe that. I just saw today that John Legend is moving out of LA. Let's see. I don't know if that answers your question. There's some breakout sessions. I'm just interested, honestly, what I'm most interested in is the energy and the relationships and the story. Like the story, like this arc of Peterson, this arc of the corner, this arc of my own story, related to people in that same stream. And you know, not so much the specifics of the heady idea. Oh, I'm so excited about this breakout group. Like, I'm excited to absorb the whole thing. Thank you, RJ. Let's see what else. Got any other questions in here? Can you send me some Illuminati people on the ARC app an invitation to the London Estuary meeting? Yeah. That would be good though, Teo, if I had something to give people that I might be in conversation with related to estuary in London. Only 7 likes. Thank you, McMo. Cities are not going away, says the guy from New York. I'm saying the purpose of cities are changing. There it is, John Anderson. That's who Bethel is interviewing today. Thank you, Shoulder Surf. You're like young Jamie. Shoulder Surf is playing young Jamie on this stream. Can we get TLC meetup contact sheet by city? Yeah, that might be interesting. On estuaryhub.com maybe has something. I don't know. I'm not a like the estuary project. I'm something probably more adjacent to, because I would say that like my individual, like my on the ground project is church. I have some like online, like some of the things that I'm cooking in my mind around like doing roundtables. Like I did the Zoomer roundtable. I've got one I'm trying to work out with some guys that are known in these here parts. That's kind of estuary, but I'm not like the estuary guy. Chad, I only talk to TLC lurkers, big shots, i.e. the lurkers come out of the lurk. Responsible citizenship for the win. Let's see. I'm trying to get through questions. The rural folks are far better citizens than city folks, not even close. Interesting. I work at a large hospital in Nashville. And even this, like I'm taking my money out of Nashville, taking it home to my little town. Think about that. In the digital nature of easier access for interfacing with credentialing, working in healthcare systems. Yeah. I'm robbing the city to take back to my little town. Will I meet with Teo? I hope to meet with Teo. I don't have anything. This is again, my schedule is like I haven't like locked in anything because I'm wanting to be nimble. But and also more than nimble, this was something at Symbolic World. I want to be faithful, like sincerely faithful, to try to respond to something I would call the Holy Spirit. And try to follow, the Logos. So, but I hope to meet with Teo. Make business cards. A little late for that. I've got a YouTube. I've got a podcast I can send people to, a Twitter and a podcast. But yeah, man, my throat is like clogged today. There used to be a map on the Bridges of Meaning server. Can you put in a good word about me to Bethel? I slid in her DM on Twitter, but the app didn't let me message her though. Yeah, I can. Let's see. All right, I'm at the end here. Questions. Yeah, I'm open to more questions. So this is an adventure. Like I was telling my wife and my sister what this feels like for me. Because I'm a fan of these, like of some of the heavy hitters, like, and hopefully I can meet and start having relationships with them and go from fan to friend or fan to acquaintance. As a guy who was a worship leader in like the modern sense, rock and roll, pop, like biggest influences on me were Hillsong and Passion. And in 2007, 2008, when I was introduced to like Hillsong United, if I could have gone to Australia and like kind of already known people in the band, maybe I didn't know like the key players like Joel Houston or Brooke Fraser, but I knew people like in the band, that would have been an incredible opportunity for me on just like connecting to something that meant, that was deeply meaningful to me and had helped me and had formed me and shaped me and gave me aim. And I could have never connected to those people. It was like pre-social media. Like I was on MySpace friends with people, and that like you still had to like have met people. But what happens now is like you can actually meet people here. You don't have physically meet them first. It can then deepen the relationship, which is another part of this whole conversation. But that's part of this adventure. I'm turning 40 next month, and maybe it's a midlife crisis. I already bought a motorcycle like 4 years ago. So maybe I'm over it. No, that's a whole nother story. But like, this is part of an adventure. That's what I know to say. Aaron's got a question. Do you think conservative don't have a telos? Progressives are progressing, but conservatives seem stagnant. Do you think ARC is conservative seeking a goal, story, or detection? ARC enduring? Yeah, I can't always Peterson's known for being a reactionary. And I think that's why, and he understands, and maybe this is part of Jonathan's influence on him, because I think there's lore in the TLC related to, and I have to have names here, but Rebel Wisdom, John Paul, what's his name? Rebel Wisdom quit doing Rebel Wisdom, and the story goes it's because the identity was like rebelling, like he had a antithesis, not like a thesis or synthesis or something like that, and he kind of didn't know what to do with that. And I think it was Peugeot that challenged him that, like, if you're built on what you are against, then what happens when you beat what you are against? So you have to be built on what you are for. And so what is Jordan for? A better story, like Jungian archetypes, and that story and narrative and metaphor are the substrate of meaning in our existence. Like, that's not what he's talking about when he's reacting to, neo-Marxist blah blah blahs, but that is a part of him. And so I do think that the tagline for ARC is tell a better story. Tell better stories is a positive telos, and one I believe that we're a part of, and one I want to continue to be a part of, and not like I made like kind of a political statement joined on top of like I subtweet or quote tweeted Peugeot's reference to JD Vance's thing on whatever, on the Latin phrase for, the ordered loves. And Luke's like, oh, getting into some dicey waters. And it's like, yeah, I mean, I react to stuff too, but like, what do I want to be? Like, I want to be a part of a better story, but sometimes you can critique the old stories. But if that's your whole identity, then it's not what happens if you win, or if you win, like the culture, and you were only identified on being counterculture. And this is a great point to Wokel Distance's conversation with Paul Vanderklay just released. I watched it back in the membership section. It was excellent. I don't know what this is. Brian of College Station. I just started a Brazos Valley ARC Discord server. I might start pushing the low rent local ARC X thing. Yeah, I guess maybe you're trying to do ARC locally. That's cool. Yeah. I would say it doesn't have to be ARC. It could be ARC. It might help with like recognition if you like tie yourself to that. I don't know if I understand. David Fuller, not John, not Paul, David, another biblical name. David Fuller from Rebel Wisdom. Name game. Y'all can depend on me for that. Shout out young Jamie, shoulder surf. CB, do you see yourself as a journalist? I go back to that experience that I had with Paul at Symbolic World with all of you guys. Like, who the hell is this Seabax dude? Where did he come from? Paul sends me the link for his Friday morning live stream, FOMO live stream for Symbolic World, and I did like a report. And I wasn't really prepared for how to be a reporter or anything like that. I see myself more as like a representative of something real, something meaningful to me, something meaningful to a lot of people, but something that is connected to this thing, like to Peterson ARC stuff. I'll go ahead and put the cards on the table. This is dicey water So reporter, I don't know. I think I see myself as somebody that's curious. I've always been curious. I see myself as somebody that's interested in how these things fit together, patterns. I see myself as somebody that that's okay to say, that wants to be okay to say the things that I think are cool and interesting. And I think this is the most cool and interesting stuff in the world right now. Not ARC per se, but like something like around the Peterson phenomenon. I think this is part of the Peterson phenomenon. And the Jordan Peterson sphere is like has beef because it's like not explicit. I'm okay with it being implicit. But I also think that they are together, and I think that's why I don't like hang out in the Peterson spheres, because I don't like the TLC is developed its own identity, and that identity is something that's relational. And in the Jordan Peterson is in the DNA, but it's not like it is Jordan Peterson, And we need David Fuller to make a documentary called Finding David Fuller, or like David Fuller Emerges from the Matrix. Maybe that's what happened. Let's see. I want to talk to David Fuller. I'm curious just to talk to him. He's talked, he talked to, Boyce, Benjamin Boyce. He's talked to, what's her name? I interviewed her. It's so embarrassing. All the names that escape me in the moment. It'll come to me. Anyone want to make a documentary with me? We're all part of it, Chad. While I direct it. Yeah, so ARC, similar to TEDx. Yeah, that's what I kind of thought you were saying. I don't even know what ARC is. Alliance of Responsible Citizenship. It is a partnership with Peterson and his network that he built over the course of years traveling and doing his international tours, related to trying to help carry Western civilization through the meaning crisis, politically, religiously, socially. So, it's getting a bunch. The first one 2 years ago was invite only. It's like 1,500 people. Paul was invited, Paul Vanderklay. So ARC has started, like, that was something they did terribly last year, was like keeping like the story going online. I know there's several people on the attendees list that are listed as like ARC media people. And I've noticed that their Twitter is getting, well, I mean, as they're promoting for this, but I do think that they're going to like ramp up their media nest this year. CBAX is an observer. True. Is it church planting? No, there's a church plant network in the States called ARC that's related to like some mega churches in the South. Actually, one of them, a big center one, being in Arkansas. Yes, correct. Without Peterson, there would be no ARC. Okay, let's see. Finding David Fuller. Chad's cooking over here. Finding David Fuller documentary. Like, David Fuller is now the Jordan Peterson of the documentary. Let's see. Any other questions? Will you ride the famous Who Put a TV in Here cable car? I'm not really going to be there for like, and I have a lot of time for touristy sightseeing, which is, I'm okay, but I still think, I mean, you're just going to absorb being there in the location, in the place, and the people. I feel like my experience in Ireland is going to be more of a cultural experience. And so I am excited about that. Yes, the ARC network comes up early on the Google if you search for it. If ARC's going to be influential, they need to take a page from Bishop Barron's Word on Fire. Yeah, it's interesting. Bishop Barron, on Twitter said, I don't know, what is 14 years ago, he released his first YouTube video, and it was a Word on Fire YouTube video, and it was a commentary on the movie. Man, I'm getting so old. Scorsese movie about corruption in police, Leonardo DiCaprio and Matt Damon, and Robert De Niro. So 14 years, like, yeah, Word on Fire has been playing this game a long time, playing it well. My first video that I've released, like I said, this will according to the internet and how I see it. So to the point of the person who said I'm an observer, like I had Bishop Barron on there. Like I got his DVD series, Word on Fire DVD series, back in like 07, 08 from my wife's uncle, who's a retired Archbishop of the Catholic Church. When I was asking him questions about the Catholic Church, he sent me to Barron back then. And yeah, like they probably should. And Barron's going to be speaking there again. And that relationship is an important one for Jordan and such. ARC is the anti-woke. Yeah, I guess, it is anti-woke, but I don't think that's how they're framing it. They could. I mean, Konstantin Kisin was the most watched interview or speech last year, I think, from them. Question. For CBACs and the Hive, what could ARC learn, apply from TLC and Estuary? Paul spoke on this a lot. Just how do you formalize conversation, and how do you activate conversation between people? And they're like, how do you get people from different statuses having real conversations with each other and break down that status wall? I'm interested to see at Midwest Estuary how estuarial the conference speakers are, because I have my own critiques on, like, I've been in a lot of green rooms at a lot of conferences and know that divide and the eyes are all on you and all this kind of thing. So that is the question. That is the intersection of status, hierarchy, conversation, meaning, and then also practical realities of, like, you don't just talk about things, you have to do things. I do too. I want to point people to one of my early videos about Rankin and Bass and enchantment. It's a huge part for me. It's something I haven't gotten out a whole lot on the channel, is a conversation around enchantment related to media that I consumed as a kid, as a very young kid, and how it impacted me. That's right, Chad. Just metagelicals. Let's see. I'm looking for questions here. Cool. Nathan Pierce, Chad, if you're serious, I can connect you with my buddy who's a documentary film producer. I'll tell him he has to do it. And there's Justin Wells. Well, Luke Smith, I don't know if he is or not. I'll have to look. Let's see. I'm looking for questions here. All right. This has been good. Hopefully, I was able to communicate things that I'm feeling, things that I'm thinking. I've got this tripod here that I can attach my camera to. That will be kind of like a selfie stick of sorts for some conversations, or it can sit like this. I've got StreamYard, and I've got these microphones. I'm going to Best Buy after I end this to get a charging, like a battery charger, external, like a portable battery charger, a short USB-C cable, and like a dongle headphone converter for my phone. What else? Oh, and a Euro charging, Euro electrical adapter. My mom reminded me of that. Seabax, can you please record the most controversial talk and post it in full? Thanks. All right, this is a good one. So I recorded Peterson when he took the stage at Symbolic World, and he talked to Father DeYoung about the resurrection of the dead. And it got like 50,000 views. I got like 100 subs. And then I took it down because people were like, this is Jonathan Pageau's content. This isn't your content. And they are selling live streaming packages, ARC is, so you can like buy it if you want to watch the stuff live. So yeah, I don't know I don't even know, I guess I'll have my camera with me. I don't know what they're gonna like insecurity. That's one of the questions I have is like, I'm gonna take my like for the conference, carry around my Symbolic World tote with my camera and little microphones and my I'm going to use my Symbolic World notepad to take notes at the conference. So yeah, it was actually a girl. And even my conversation with Paul, because he saw it that day and he was like, he kind of made the point like, YouTube, if it doesn't go viral, it's not a big deal. But if it goes viral, yeah, take it down. So I took that note from Paul and from people. Even funnier. Let's see. Seabax was going to wear a jacket with icons of TLC. Well, obviously, Paul Vanderklay would be on there. It would be like YouTube profile pictures, Yeah, that was my picture I took of Jordan Peterson that went a little bit viral last year because Pageau retweeted it on Twitter. I think it was him, Martin Shaw, Jonathan Pageau, and Richard Rowland sitting together watching Dirt Poor Robins. And there was this light shining on Peterson's back, and it said, Jesus Christ. And that was cool. Yeah. That was one thing I noticed I don't know about ARC, what was going on 2 years ago on Twitter, but like when I was at Symbolic World, like no one was like tweeting live, like hardly at all. And I was like, this is kind of a arbitrage opportunity for attention. I wasn't thinking that initially, but then I kind of looked back and I was like, because I think it was kind of not cool to be that guy, and I wasn't just like chronically online or anything, but it was a very hipster environment, which I'm very well familiarized with hipsters and the kind of, you don't want to be the fan, you want to be cool, you want to be, and so I bring whatever that is. Like I'm gonna try to be myself and be positive and kind of try to like represent and connect. So if you're not following me on Twitter, go follow me on Twitter. I'll post things there. This is a question I have. So I've made a WhatsApp group, and like the way I've connected with people in the UK is mainly through WhatsApp. My like Teo and John Lumgar. But like my question is, if I have this WhatsApp group, because I'm not really good at this side of technology. If I like put the WhatsApp link here and y'all wanted to be in the WhatsApp, that I could send a few pictures in at times. I don't have my own Discord. I've been toying around with that. Would this be a good time to send stuff into Discord? But I don't even know how to operate it. So it's like, that would be hard. But I've got a WhatsApp group, and if I put the link in that and y'all get on the WhatsApp group, I can send like some selfies and like some exclusive stuff that maybe wouldn't be on Twitter. I don't know. I don't know all the rules. I don't know what the best ways of doing things. I'm getting old, so some of that is like trying to figure out the tech is hard, and the intuitive nature of like Gen Z on how to like where these levels exist and how to like cultivate community. They're good at. What is Grim Grizz is going? I didn't know that. Or is this something else? Let's see. Do we know if Paul is officially has a demo estuary arc? I think that Teo he's not, I don't know about arc, but he's doing like estuary tour. Is Grim Grizz going? I didn't know that. If he is. OC folk, I would be, let's see. If you got into any conversations with OC folk, I would be curious to hear their perspective on the Protestanty value of a conference like this as a gift to what America has to offer. Orthodox Church. Well, I mean, Peugeot is he's a keynote speaker. And he's like he's on the board of ARC. So I did see some priests or some people of investments that were maybe on the attendees list and stuff, or as speakers. Yes, there's some speakers on the speakers list. And I mean, to your point, Rigel, like this was when I saw the Adoration of the Eucharist conference last year, I had this in my conversation with Joseph Lambrecht, who's Orthodox. And they're in this big, sports coliseum. It looks like Passion 2012, and there's like lights and smoke surrounding, if it's incense or smoke, machine, I don't know, surrounding the table with the host. And it's like green or yellow lights. Like it's like vivid. And there's a worship band off to the side singing like songs written by, charismatics like Carrie Job. There's nuns on their knees with their hands up, like worship style. And it looks like a Passion conference, but Catholic. And to your point of this, like, yeah, I think that the conference, like they're using all the tools that have been developed by Big Eva, like ProPresenter and metronomes and click tracks and high production things being like all lined up and synced for production value, like cameras, like the camera shot used, like the live streaming in Catholic churches is nothing compared to mega churches. Like they've had that down to a science and they're very good at it, and they make it look easy, and it's easy to critique all that technical expertise. But like, yes, Rigel, I mean, Father Stephen Damick, who's got a YouTube channel, he worked in live production before he became Orthodox priest. Like, what I think there's like a pretty like hardcore Nectar Orthodox channel, uses technology so well. So that's my opinion on that. But I don't know about it in conversation. It would be interesting to have that conversation, like you're saying, Rigel. Yeah, PVK is already in Great Britain. Almond Tree. Let's see. Is ARC Burning Man for cultural Christians? No, that was a thing called, for cultural Christians. Yeah, but look up Cornerstone. Cornerstone was like Burning Man for Christians in the late 90s, early 2000s. And for like it had much more of the Burning Man vibe, but Cornerstone was a live music festival. Paul's estuary meeting will be the week after ARC. ARC week estuary will have to be arranged by ARC attendees. Well, let's see. What else? Oh, well, yeah. I mean, that's already happening. I mean, because they're already in there. So like, uh, but I don't know the specifics. Like, I just think Peugeot is the vector or the portal for that Orthodox side. Um, but like the artsy people, like I don't know. Vesper Stamper, I think she became Orthodox. I thought she was Catholic, but maybe she became Orthodox. You know, Neil deGrade's Orthodox. So there's a definitely contingent. Like I feel like Protestantism is this is like the Protestant medium, like you're saying, that's being co-opted by cultural and these in the trad tradition, like the grand trad traditions are like being able to see the power that's been exemplified by the Protestant and evangelical uh, techno church. But yeah, there's like, I think Protestantism or evangelicalism is kind of, I mean, they're not, I mean, the big key speakers are political and Orthodox and Catholic, and I don't know. I haven't looked deep enough. I don't know. So yeah, Matt, I think so too. That's what I kind of thought. But someone maybe had told me at one time she was Catholic, but maybe she's like crossed over into that trend, that trendy ortho move. I like that association, Chad, because the Burning Man is for tech bros who want to get wild for a week. That checks out. Yeah. I don't think this is, I mean, there could be people getting wild, like, but there's like night dinner parties and soiree type, I guess, events. I think they had 1,000 listed. Jason, how many rando tickets did ARC sell? All right. Well, I talked about Galway Connected. It's my little note card of notes for this live stream. You know, Dave Rubin on his, when he used to do all of his like conversational podcast stuff, like his questions were all on the note. I was thinking about that today whenever I was making this. Teo and Christian can bring Estuary to ARC week. So I already kind of said, I'm not like the bastion and great banner for corner estuary work. I feel adjacent to the estuary movement, but it's it's definitely part of this little culture, and so I don't know how successful I'm going to be. Lucky to like be faithful to what I have committed to, taking you with me. So I didn't see any answers for the WhatsApp thing, but I'm kind of trying to know if I should do that. But let's see. I was thinking about trying to do this till noon, so I've got about a little over 30 minutes. I'm gonna open it up. And allow and people can come in. So invite, here it comes in 3, 2, 1. Boom. Gonna pin it on the YouTube app. So if you want to come in and hang out on the live stream, come on in. The water's fine. When the mask becomes the face. What's up? Mostly not working. Pinned. All right, starting a live super chat goal here. Here we go. 27 watching, 12 likes. I've got the link up. If you're out there and you want to come talk, Christian disowns Estuary and Paul Vanderklay. I have not ever held an Estuary. I'm not a part of Estuary Leadership Hub. I am. I don't know. I mean, I don't try to pretend that I'm like the Estuary guy. What's up, Teo? And Chad. Oh, here he comes. Here it is. Play it, boy. Maybe.
Oh,
Me?
there we go.
Audio.
Hi.
Hey, dude.
We're working.
What's up,
I think.
dudes?
Yeah, I hear you, Chad. I don't know if you're
What up,
lagging.
dude? Jeez. Probably.
Are you playing us?
Never mind.
Are you playing Midwest
I
Metagenical?
just thought I'd show up. I don't know if I was gonna. I didn't know if I'd actually play anything, but I just thought I'd show up and say hello.
Hello, sir. From across the well, you're just far north from me. Teo, what's up with you, dude?
Do you want me to play something?
Not much. I just came on mainly because I didn't want you to do what Matsy did to me when he came to England without making sure that we got a date lined up. And you've got ARC, which sounds like they're gonna keep you in prison for all those 3 days. Most
Well,
of them.
I've got Sunday evening when I fly back from Galway, and then Wednesday. I don't know how late the things go on Wednesday. If it's over at like 6, so I don't do dinner on Wednesday because I'm not flying out till Thursday. So those
Okay,
are
Wednesday. I can do
Yep.
dinner on Wednesday.
Wednesday. So yeah, dude. And I think those are I don't know, but the other evenings are full or whatever. And I guess if I assume I'm attending, I am open to like connecting with other people, but I don't want to like just like nail anything down. But Wednesday night, you and me, let's do it. Let's embody everybody. Thank you, Peter, Penrose, Bach, 2 of every animal. I don't know. To the arc. 2 of every animal to the arc.
That dude loves tangerines. I'm telling you.
That's right. Oh yeah, Matt C got called out. Dude. Yeah, man. This is crazy. I'll meet Paul for the first time tomorrow, barring safe travels. And I met Martin Shaw a little bit. I talked to him a little bit at Symbolic World. So, but
I'm so jealous you get to go to the Christ and Conscious.
yeah, dude.
What is it? Christ and Culture Conference.
Yes, Christ and Conscience.
Particularly because you get to meet Martin Shaw.
Yeah, dude. That's what I think. Like I was saying earlier, like as far as like tourism, like to me, that's like the highlight of my trip. Like as far as cultural experience is going to be the Christ and Culture. So I'm going to try to tag along, go to Divine Liturgy with those guys wherever they're going to go on Sunday. So,
Chad, how long do you think we've got before Christian becomes an Orthodox Orthotrad?
It's never gonna happen.
Why are you saying it's just Midwest Metagelical? Hit it.
Do you really want me to play this?
Yes, I do. This is Christian's channel.
Who's Chad's streaming? Oh, Chad's streaming out his channel. I'm just a Midwest Metagelical.
Talking about God and life and other
Hypothetical.
hypotheticals. No patriarch or any genitals are gonna stop the logos flow on theological.
Theological. Amen. 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 Woo!
All right,
Amen.
yay. This kid's
Matsy said you're ignoring his super chat. Don't let that expire before you read it.
What? Uh-oh. Let's see. Can you and Teo do something radical? What that Wednesday? Something that elevates the FOMO? Yeah. I mean, we can do a 2-person estuary. we could do
Sorry, Steve Backs. I'm sorry, but Zach and I already done that. It's not that radical.
okay.
Zach,
So
Zach flew in from America just to come all the way and got to experience a 2-person estuary, which
well,
I
we
got
could
an
record
idea.
it live. We could record it live though.
You guys should just be in person, okay, and play checkers. That's it.
Oh,
Like right on camera, just play checkers over and over and over again, and have a
That would-
conversation.
that would be the FOMO.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I think just doing anything live, like just tiling, just checkering, type thing. You're saying would bring the FOMOs. Yeah. TLC OF. That's right.
no, Steve Backs is way more TLC. He's got me in the TLC arena. I think I've got him in the estuary arena, so we balance each other out.
That's right. Yeah, dude.
You guys are so amazing. I do want to touch on this question though, because this idea about will Christian Baxter become ortho bro? I think it's a good question because, like, I think the same thing could be asked of a couple of us. Will Chad the alcoholic or Chad the dad ever become Orthodox? It's like, no, not unless they put a church like 8 minutes away from where I live. Right. Like, I don't see it as it doesn't make sense. It just doesn't. And like the more that I've like some of the TLC conversations lately have really helped me see some of this stuff as far as like the desire to leave the West, the standards of the West, or my ideas of my American container that I'm resentful at, and I'm going to leave that and go to Orthodox, or leave that and go. It's like this way of escaping the American container. That's interesting because I think that's a lot of what that is. And like for me, I feel like very American, and also like I've even started to identify honestly as a Lutheran, which is really weird because a couple of years ago I would have said, well, I'm not a Lutheran, but I'm a member of a Lutheran church, but I'm not a Lutheran. But I would say today that I am a Lutheran. Now, I don't even know what that really means because I don't really pay attention to the whatchamacallit, the theology. But I think I'm more of an embodied theologian, I guess. Like I'm more interested in what's happening on the ground with my relationship with these people rather than the things that I read in the books. So, but I'm just a Midwest metagelical. So what do I know?
Speaking for myself,
Amen.
I can for sure
Amen.
see myself becoming either Catholic, Orthodox, or Methodist, or Anglican. One of them.
You got to be Anglican, bro.
I really like the Methodists as well. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, but what about the Lutherans? We're sacramental too.
Too German for me.
I think that this is like, I love this question, Chad, because this is kind of one of my drums. Like, well, there's not going to be an Orthodox church where I live for a long time. And I don't even know if there was one here, what makes sense. It's like, well, I've got to only make maybe this feels like it makes the most propositional sense or something, but like, I think Orthodoxy is bringing the gifts that it has to bear, and it will inevitably influence Protestantism in the way, but while it is also being influenced by Protestantism. And that's the meta thing about all of this, is the meta evangelical thing, because what does the telos of tradition help me as now a Presbyterian lead? I'm always going to be a guy that was raised as an evangelical, but what helps me get in touch with the history of the broad tradition is to move into a tradition like Presbyterianism, like Lutheranism, that is both sacramental, and then like these things that influence like these deep and high traditions. You're not just, a church isn't just an individual on a journey. Like, it is a community, it is a body, Luke Thompson. And so when you're with the body, you are like, if I just go by myself to go be an individual in a divine liturgy, that's missing the whole damn point. And so like going and being the church and allowing like Orthodox to influence your church, I think is good. And I think needs to happen.
If I may, sorry.
Go ahead. No, I'm done.
I was just going to give an example. Just last night, I was at a Churches Together in Saddleworth meeting, which is an organization, an ecumenical organization that a lot of cities in the UK have, and my town has one. And it's got Catholics, Anglican, Methodist, basically everyone that I named. Lutherans aren't there because there's no Lutheran church around there. But all these churches are coming together. They do. Well, this has been going on for a year, so they're still learning. One of the things that they now do is they do joint services. And the report back from last meeting about the joint services was that it's the first time most of the churches, were packed for decades, because this is an effort that they're going after, because most of them are dying individually. So they're coming together collectively so they can die a lot slower than they're dying individually. So there's an aspect of metagelicalism playing out on the ground where I'm at.
Mm-hmm.
Fascinating. What's up, David?
Hi, David.
Hello. I'm doing all right.
Virtually not alone right now.
Yeah, I guess. It's just me and my dog who won't stop throwing up. But yeah.
Sending prayers out for David's dog.
Yeah.
I think if I were to do any other, like join any other church, and I talked a lot with Anne about this, it would probably be Catholic. We'd probably go Catholic, but that's because she was, she's baptized Catholic, and I think, also the Anglican, they're also, I have an Anglican friend who is a priest who is also alcoholic. He's like, oh, the Anglican, it's on your heart. He's trying to pull me, like, I'm like, no. It doesn't really matter to me though. Like, I don't know. Like if there was if it was made apparent, I wouldn't hesitate to make the move anywhere, really. Even if it was Orthodox, but I just don't see it. Like, to me, I don't really have a FOMO about it. Like, the one thing I think it would be nice that church, like when I went to Sourdough Neil's church, it was the most gorgeous singing that I'd ever heard in my life by everyday regular people. And like some of those people are like even converted out of like whatchamacallit, Amish or Mennonite.
Yeah.
And like it was really beautiful. It really was. But like, I don't know. It's just like, am I going for like this merely this aesthetic thing, or am I going for something else? You know, like, yeah, I don't know. I don't think God really cares, to be honest. But what do I,
Did
like
they
he
have
cared, but yeah.
Chad? Did they have instruments, by the way?
No, they didn't. It was really,
Yeah.
it was really something, man.
Yeah, I went to a very conservative Mennonite church once, and all they had was a pitch pipe.
mm,
So the guy would like,
yeah,
and you get the pitch, and then the guy starts doing this, and then
yeah,
everyone does the hymn, and it was like what, like 5-part harmony. It was ridiculous and
yeah,
beautiful.
yeah. That's what it was like, and it was like, it must have been an old. It was I don't know what kind of business it was before it was a church, but it was an old building that was, not that old, probably built in the 80s or 70s or something. That was an old brick building that they converted into an Orthodox church, and the place was full, and it was really something. But like, yeah, I'm really glad for. But even he is traveling like 45 minutes
Yeah.
to attend the thing. I don't see to me, that doesn't make sense for my family. Now it makes sense for him. I'm totally like behind him on that, because like when he described to me what happened for him and how he felt compelled and moved by God to do that, it makes perfect sense. But like, we aren't widgets in a machine, in Christ's machine. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And
Right.
if you feel compelled, go do it. But if not, I mean, if you feel compelled to go to Joel Osteen's church, go do it, man, and be the best Christian you can in that setting. I think that's good.
Yeah, I think the interesting thing about that is, like, what's the ideal of, I think when I've had conversation, I had an argument with what's his name, Rainier at Symbolic World about this, because he was trying to explain to me like the Orthodox ideal of like a town and a city and this city center and all this kind of stuff, and I was like, dude, I'm way closer to that where I live than in any large city like that's operating that way. And he's like, no, bro, you just don't get it. I'm like, okay. We were both a little tipsy. At least that's what Grim Gris said. And but but that was like, what is that ideal of trust, that ideal of like neighbor and neighborhood, that ideal of care, like those things that flow out of like some kind of ordered love, which is what was being argued at on Twitter from the vice president, all those kind of things. Like, those things don't just happen because you decide you want to go to an Orthodox church. Like, those things happen. Like that's the answer, in my opinion. That's something about deeply answer to the meaning crisis or the poly crisis or all these things is like, and someone said earlier, they were like talking about doing these like arc, Sherry, you're a desert father. That's different. That's a whole different thing.
Don't misgender Sherry of the Coda.
You're a desert mother, Sherry.
David,
that's a different calling. That's
are.
a different calling. And that's another thing. Is like these offices, like the idea that to be Orthodox means to be a desert father is not like, we wouldn't have any children or like civilization.
Yeah.
Like, but there are those who are called to that life, and what that
McMosive?
does is it feeds and nourishes the families and the people through that gift of that calling. Like, and so no, Sherry,
Yeah,
you're no different. You're no different. It is different. I think it is different.
Like, you got like CW and McMosive. These guys are more I think they would fancy themselves kind of Kierkegaardian in this way, and that they are on a different path and a different. I think and it's a valid path. I think that if you truly feel and believe that you're called into that mode, then do that. Yeah, but I don't think everybody should do that, and I don't think that everybody should go to Catholic or everybody should. And it's again, we're not widgets, and like if you are earnestly are seeking Christ, I think that He will reveal more as you move forward. You know,
There's this strange parable or story. It's not a parable that happens in the New Testament where Christ is at dinner, and I don't know the specifics, but a lady is like eating the table scraps, or the dog. No, a dog's eating the table scraps, or something like that. Or I can't remember
No,
the
it's
illustration.
a woman. A woman out from a crowd asks for Jesus to heal her daughter, but she is not a Jew. And Jesus
Yes,
says, "Should I give the food that is supposed to be for the children to the dogs?" And
yes.
And
she says, "Yes, my Lord, but even the dogs eat the scraps from the master's table."
And I'm
And then,
okay with being a dog. Like,
yeah,
that's the thing. Like, I don't want to pretend like when my wife's aunt is sad that her sister is no longer a part of the Catholic Church and says, you're missing the full gospel, the fullness of the gospel. I mean, it's a common thing in families that are like that. Like, that may be true, but like, it's not no gospel. And I think that that's a part of the story, and that's a part of reality, and that you know, and how could it not be that way? And I think that's what Christ is kind of pointing at.
and I think when you get into like any body of people, all sorts of things can take like patterns take shape. Like I'm listening to this book right now called The Frontiersman, and there's this now this is a little bit of a like jutting off a little bit, but it's just talking about how the patterns of how people are, I think. And so Tecumseh and his brother, I can't remember his brother's name. Anyways, these guys were chiefs for these different tribes. They were able to bring a whole bunch of different tribes together and create like a union of tribes. And like even at one point, Tecumseh's brother started to kind of get like a little too big for his britches, and he started to develop a whole new religion to try to unify the people. One thing he did was when there are a few things, like he said, like there shall be no more alcohol drinking. So they got rid of alcohol. No witchcraftery. If you practice witchcraft, we will burn you at the stake. Now this is like in about 1800. So it's really interesting. And then in order to enforce this, they started just kind of pointing out people. Oh, that one looks like a witch, and this and that. And it was just nuts, dude. And so this isn't always, these kinds of like controlling like patterns aren't just confined to Christianity, which is something that I basically thought. But no, it's like this actually happens wherever you go. People will kind of have this strong desire for too much power, and then they abuse this. And like it's wild, dude, to see how people act, you know. And
well, and I
yeah.
think I feel like we're kind of circling something, which is this idea that I never felt was really taught to me in church, but when I went to Bible college, they wouldn't shut up about it. And I think it's one of the most beautiful ideas, or like radically changed my idea of understanding the world, which was the notion of exile. And even some of the conferences and conversations that people talk about homemaking and what is home and everything else is the idea that the New Testament is written to a people that had identified themselves as in exile. So even the idea of finding like a church that will feel like home right? It's like you're trying to find a church that feels like home, but you're in exile. You're not supposed to be in the promised land. You're
Mm.
off in some backwoods area.
Well, that's what we ended up calling our church for the last 2 years, was home church.
Home church, yeah.
But it's not going to be what we are once we finish the official process of joining a denomination. But that's a part of the identity of being exiled in a certain way,
Yeah.
from a fellowship that we were part of. And exile is not the right word, but it may be a choice, but it felt like one. I mean, so the thing is, that's where the meeting and the bond and the trust, that, is built around a table, like a fractal of the table. Like, it's built around, honesty, courage, vulnerability, and all that kind of stuff. And that stuff, that's what's designed to happen in a home, and then, but you said something like the promised land, what's the promised land for this journey? Something like recommuning with other communions. And
this very Eastern European story is coming to the top of my memory for some reason, like the top of my attention as you're talking about this. And I had a karate instructor named Dusan. He was from Serbia, former Yugoslavia. He always said Serbia, former Yugoslavia. That's like one of the big indicators of where he's from. He was an older guy, and he had been in the military and stuff like that. And he takes me to this restaurant because he said, David, you have to try my food. I want you to see what it is like. So he brings me to this Eastern European restaurant. We're eating. He's speaking in his language, getting that sour cream that's as thick as cream cheese, if you've ever had it. And then we sit down, and I said, so this is like a Serbian restaurant? And he just goes, no, they are Croats. I go, oh, I thought the Serbs and the Croats didn't get along with each other. And he just says, yes, in fact, we had war, and we will have war again. But for right now, they are my friends. And it's like, this is a perfect example of what it's like to be living in exile. Is these guys living right next to each other were enemies, but because they lived right next door to each other, they also cooked their food the same way. So the best Serbian restaurant he knew was Croatian. It was like the old enemies. One day we'll fight, but for right now, you are my friends. For right now.
Yeah, I think that's a great illustration with what does it mean to, in this world, like the walls, when the walls or the borders, like the borders of Serbia and Croatia don't exist in, I don't know, where were you living, David? In
Toronto, just outside of
Toronto. Those walls, those borders don't exist in Toronto. But what did exist was the relationship between Croatia and Serbia and their cultures.
Well, this kind of is bringing me back to the David Fuller thing, and I don't know if we've seen the last of him. I mean, I did try to search for where is he at right now, what is he doing, and then I think one of the last things he did was have a conversation with Jonathan Pageau and John Vervaeke. That was like one of the last public things that he did. But he had talked about kind of leaving behind some stuff. I know that he was having some difficulties there was some family illness stuff that was going on. And the reason why he's salient in this conversation for me is because it seems like he left his career in journalism to follow after a certain ideal or an idea that seemed to be sparked by the likes of Jordan Peterson. And he started to develop kind of a community online. And they started to explore and meet in person and all these different kinds of things. And that was a type of exile, I think. And it wasn't able to stay maintained. And it's important, I think, to know what happened there. And I would really love to talk to the guy. I don't know if he's talking to the people that he was talking to in his circles. Like, I don't know if like Jordan Hall is talking with him on the side or somebody like that. I don't know. I think Parsons, not Alan Parsons, Zach Parsons was in communication with him for a while. Like, I want to know what's up with this guy because it's important. Like, he is in the DNA of whatever this is.
Yep.
And we need to know what went wrong there or what went right and why it's not why that whole thing is closed down. It's important, I think. Because like sometimes I think we can be overly pedantic or overly focused on the right place, getting to the right place with the right tradition and the right and the this and the right and all this. It hasn't been my experience to find to in a top-down way position myself to be in the right circle of people and doing the right kinds of practices, and you have to kind of hold on to that loosely, I think. Otherwise, when it breaks, you have nothing to hold on to. Like, so if it's loosely held on to and you're holding on to a higher ideal, then when it breaks, you have something that you can be more secure in, I think.
And that something is something like fellowship and friendship too. I think that's a piece of it. Remind me to tell you a story about that someday, Chad, offline. But I think the Rebel Wisdom piece of this corner of the internet is, it's one. I tried to DM him on Twitter, I think months ago, but why am I blanking? Who had a conversation with him, one or two, was what's her name? Emily with the bangs.
Not Emily. Andrea.
No, Andrea with the bangs.
Yeah.
She had a conversation with one or two conversations with David Fuller back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
And she's still around. And but yeah, I think someone said it earlier. It was Shoulder. He was following a movement he sensed. And I mean, I kind of feel that, and I watched him do that, like, because I was paying attention to this stuff, and while I was in deep exile, and I was thankful for what he was doing, and I think that part of that spirit, like you were saying, even the inspiration you feel to to do another documentary, which you played with early, that you were trying to play with earlier in your journey on YouTube and stuff. And I think that's it's interesting. It's coming up, going to, he's from London or UK area, and who knows? I don't know. I could see if he's going to be at ARC. That would be funny.
Part of it, it's like there's certain recipes where one of the instructions will be do not over-mix, right? And it'll be like if you want this pancake batter a particular way, right? I've lived with within an intentional community, and there was one person who was becoming a chef, and they folded meringue into the pancakes that made the most incredible thing. But
don't whip it, fold it.
Yeah, you have to exactly. You fold. If you overmix, then it becomes something completely different, and it's no longer great. But our lives are constantly. Sorry, Christian, what?
Make America great again. It's that's a big part of the story. Go ahead.
But so in our lives, we're just constantly moving. We can't stop. And so a lot of these figures that were in between figures, they became other things, right? That's the story of like Jordan Hall actually becoming a Christian and everything. Is like, and why some people were praying that Jordan Peterson did not become a Christian, because it was like, if we're trying to be these multiple things all at once, and you lose that if it actually fully becomes what it's becoming, if it's fully incorporated, right?
I love how in this particular moment the tides have turned, and now Christian Baxter is the hat of the Canadian, whereas typically the Canadians are the hat of Americans. That's nice. Sorry.
You're accepted here if you want to come into Canada.
Oh, look
Ooh,
at that.
cool. That looks. I mean, that makes me think of Jordan Peterson's logo, like all the.
Oh, this one? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Here, let me set it right.
and maybe you're a
it's-
son of a bitch.
That's Chad, you did such a good job with that.
That's
That
awesome, David.
This is I don't know if I've shown people. It's always in the background while I'm doing Bible study. But it's 7 circles, so it's the days of
Something.
creation.
Oh,
So what I'm working on right now is the separation between light and darkness. I got other stuff to add, but yeah, that's where it is right now.
very cool. I love it.
David, where's the next play within a play or just a play that's not within a play but on YouTube?
That's a good question. I have an idea for something, but it would require a lot of work, and it's I think I even mentioned it at the end. I kind of have an idea that would require like 30 people from TLC, where it would be like a massive play that everyone participated in, instead of like a core group. Like when I did the play reading, it was people who were like most involved, people I knew the best, or I thought really, really matched the characters. I don't know.
I know we said it the last time, but the casting for the play within the play was just so good. so good. So trying to cast now 30 people, I'm expecting there to be a decline in the casting quality.
No. Let me tell you. You got to pick the main ones, and then the rest just makes sense. So, yeah.
This is Rigel. I think whipping in was the downfall of the emergent movement, which Paul's been, on a lot recently. We need to fold in the various streams that allow distinction and the unity of being part of the multi-layer cake or bean dip. Yeah, I think that's the difference in something like what's happening here with. I think that was an awesome illustration, David, is the distinctiveness of even this conversation we had earlier about denominations, like that if everyone turns into the mono culture, we've already seen that. And that's kind of what he said is like happened to like being able to hold in tension different identities is an important part of the future.
That's one of Lincoln's most famous speeches, where he talks about how we have to become something, right? And he says, I'm not saying that we will be all free states, but we will be all one thing. We can't be half slave and half free. We gotta be something.
Says the Canadian.
Well, and honestly, I wonder. I've talked about this before. The Canadians have had way more influence than they should. Like
on this corner, 100%.
Like even what's it called? PVK's grandfather pastored a church in Orangeville, which is an hour away from me. Right? So which is from Toronto, would have been hour and a half from Toronto. So where Peterson is is where PBK has family, right? You have Pajot, John Vervaeke, right? Like I've talked about it before. One of my friends, um, his opinion on Peterson was shaped by the fact that he had Peterson as his therapist, right? Like,
We can't leave the band Rush out of this either. I mean, I know that sounds funny, but I
Do you want to
mean,
know if you want me to make a connection to Rush?
yes.
That whenever I was in high school and I started a band, and the first place we ever played was this little old train depot in our town. And the guy running sound was like an old 80s head. And he goes, "Dude, you sound just like the singer from Rush, man. Anyone ever told you that?"
But I mean, the Canadians have had a tremendous influence on culture.
well, and it's also they're bridge characters. So the greatest pop punk, or not, like the poser of all posers is Avril Lavigne,
Mhm,
who is from Ontario, and so is Shania Twain, who
mhm,
bridged pop with country.
Yep.
mhm.
So, like, one of the greatest country stars of all time is not American.
Yeah. That kind of synthesis that can happen when you're not like, when you're maybe observing something as an outsider, like, and you understand the ethos more than some of the people that are inside of it, because you can see it for what it is more than sometimes the people that are like within it.
I mean,
Well,
you have Jim
I think,
Carrey.
yeah,
You have Jim
yes,
Carrey. You have Michael Myers. You have, I mean, they're just all over the place.
John Candy, yeah, yeah, yeah,
Mm.
yeah. Martin Short, yeah. There, it's a very interesting thing because I do think Canadians are kind of outsider-ish figures, and because we're in a time that's very culture breaking apart, you could understand that the ones who have less culture would feel it first, right?
Mm.
Hmm, hmm.
Well, guys, I've got to get packing, and so I can get to my flight, but we can do like a last thoughts, PBK last thoughts today. So we're kind of rounding out. Teo, you got anything?
I'm looking forward to meeting you, brother,
Let's
and
do it.
I hope you have a productive and eventful ARC experience.
Hopefully, I can be faithful to my thumbnail. What about you, Chad?
Oh, I'm very happy um, to see you be able to take shape in the adventuring that you've been doing over the last year, and it's really cool. And I think it suits you, looks good on you, and I think that that it's genuine and sincere. So you do a good job of balancing the sincerity and authenticity and keeping it in its right place. And so I appreciate that. And that's all I gotta say. Otherwise, maybe next time I see you, I'll be a papa.
Yeah, father. Do it. Awesome. David, you got anything, brother?
Well, I think based on what Grim Grizz has said, I have to say, Christian, if you are in fact a CIA plant, I think you're the best one we could get. You know, there's, there's this meme that I've seen that was just like my FBI agent having to read the inspirational things I'm going through, and like, and it just shows this like guy crying, like being inspired by the thing. So it's so good, so good to have you in the group.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I'm kind of an oddball, I feel like sometimes, but I am, I was telling my sister earlier, is like, as the fates would, allow, this was the tribe that I fell into. And I pray that I can honor that, that's kind of, I think, the most important part of like this side of things. So, all right, guys, I'm knock y'all out. Do some, closing branding stuff or whatever. Yeah, thanks for everyone hanging out today. And so hopefully, I want to say thank you to Peter Penrose Bach, who helped me with these. He was here today in the chat for a little bit, and I'm hoping that I get to meet him over in the UK as well. And yeah, thanks, Chad, Teo, and David for hanging out and making me feel virtually not alone. And for everyone in the Hive Mind and all the great questions that got my juices going. Yeah, and with that, I'm going to close this out, and I'll see y'all in London.